Sibongeziwe Mabandla. And now, Siyembizana, the pharmacist K. I know there's nothing like leaving home to go to Gauteng to go study.
Mm-hmm.
But it's another, right? After you've studied, you have your qualification. Nasekhaya they are ululating because mntanethu wadoda as in wayenza wayigqiba lento, right?
Definitely.
And then you hear that this educated guy is volunteering for 8 months, no pay. Siphosethu. Yeah. 8 months, Baba.
It was actually, was it? Yeah, it was 8 to 9 months of just gaining the experience and just working. You know, I remember when the decision was made that, okay, well, they did make a decision. They were like, your internship is here for 2 weeks. I was like, but I need 6 months. They were like, hey, we only offer 2 weeks. So I was like, okay, sharp. No, we'll see.
Yeah.
Then 2 weeks goes by, and then I go to the lady who had brought me in. I'm like, okay, so what happens? I don't want to go.
Is this Hope?
No, her name was Margaret.
Okay.
Yeah, it was at Endemol at the time.
Yeah. Oh, is it?
Yeah, so she's like, no, 2 weeks is up. Now we have a new batch of interns coming in next week. I'm like, but I said 6 months. She's like, but I told you 2 weeks. I'm like, okay, who do I talk to? I did, there's an office there, but no one goes in there. I'm like, okay.
My stomach is growling already.
I'm going home.
I'm getting tense already.
But as I'm walking towards the door, I see this lady in this office where no one goes into without an appointment. I'm like, well, she's laughing and she's not talking to anyone. She's busy on the phone. So I just knock and I'll open the door, and then she starts to look at me like, can I help you? I'm like, hi, this is Pumla. She's like, yeah. I just rambled. I took that moment and I said, okay, cool. I hear you got 2 weeks internship. I need 6 months. She's like, I don't deal with interns. I'm like, but you make the decisions. She's like, whoa. How long do you need? I'm like, if you need me for the year, I'm available. Now, this is before World Cup.
Oh,
yeah.
Is it before 2010?
Yeah, this is 2009, April. I'm like, if you need me for the year, I'm available. So she's like, look, we can't pay you. I'm like, I don't need that money. I just need to be here so that I can have the experience. She was like, hey, do what you want to do. I walked out. I said, Margaret, see you tomorrow. She was shocked. I was there first thing in the morning with everybody else, and I stayed on and moved to every department. And 8 months later, Gray of May approaches me and he's like, who the hell are you? I'm like, what do you mean? I work here. And I've been gaining experience. And the head writer said, okay, cool. We've seen what you've been doing for the show. You created the social media presence, because it was also the beginning of social media. Oh. So I went on, created this whole new platform for them that they didn't have, which now they got instant engagement with the viewer.
Sure.
So they were like, okay, we like that. Continue that. We're going to create a position for you.
Okay.
You'll be a social media manager, but also we want you to be in the writing department because that's where the information comes from. So you can filter what you put in.
Okay.
I was like, hey, but I want to be a writer. And then she was like, okay, cool, start off. So there are these scenes that if something happens in the news the night before,
yes,
and then it'll be on the show in the following morning. And then I was like, okay, cool. I was tasked into doing those things. And then there's his history.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, which speaks to what everybody keeps saying. Be available.
Be available and be willing to do whatever it takes to get to your dream. That's what I believed in at the time.
What are you eating? Ulalapi?
I called my mother. I was like, look, here's the situation. I lived in Pretoria at the time.
Yes.
I'm going to continue to stay in Pretoria at the flat.
Wait a minute.
Renting.
Pretoria to SABC?
Yeah. So I'd leave
Auckland Park. Yeah.
I'd leave my flat at 4:30, walk to Bosman, which is a good 45-minute walk.
Yes, I know where Bosman is.
Catch a taxi, get off at Noord, walk to Bree, catch a taxi to Auckland Park every morning. 5:30, same routine back home. Every day it was like that. I told her, okay, this is getting tedious because now we're approaching winter and I don't know what the situation in the morning. So I found an apartment in Auckland Park. It's a walking distance to the office. And she was like, how much is it? I'm like, it's 3.5. She's like, my child, I'm a teacher. I'm like, I don't know where it comes from, but it has to come from somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me think about it. An hour later, I said, are you still thinking?
An hour later?
Yeah, I'm still thinking.
The pressure.
She was like, okay, fine, let's do it. Go take it. If you believe in this thing, then you'll do it. I think I was blessed to have a mother like that, where she was like, if this is your dream,
God bless
if this is what you
mothers,
want to
man.
do, then go ahead and do it. She took out a lease for a year and she was paying for it. I remember when they told me I'm getting my first paycheck, it was 5,000 Rand. And I said to her, stop paying rent now. I'll pay my own rent. She's like, but it's only, I was like, it's fine. Stop paying rent. I'll pay my own rent. I'll use the 1.5 for my upkeep.
That's right.
But because there's catering on set.
Oh,
so I
yeah.
made sure I was there at 5 when breakfast starts.
That's right.
So I eat breakfast at work. Lunchtime, I make sure, I used to call them and say, we have a new writer coming to join the team. Every day there was a new writer coming to a meeting. So they dish up an extra plate.
Yeah.
So I make sure that I take that plate with me home. That's my dinner. So
Come on.
That's how I made it work until I was earning enough. So okay, I can stand on my own. I can do it on my own. Because I didn't want to also burden at home because we're already doing so much. So I made that plan to work. Be there for breakfast, dish up enough so that you can have your dinner at home. Guys. And it worked out.
Guys. That in itself is a documentary.
If I were to call in that topic you had, if you left it to be a soapy, I think I'd put in those things
right
in there. Yeah.
Would it be a soapy or would it be a documentary?
Look,
for me, that it's laced with so many lessons. It could be anything, but
I think from where it started to where it is, it could definitely be 3 seasons of a soapy.
3 seasons.
3 seasons.
First season
is the hustle. Second season is now believing you've made it. The climax of the second season is when you think you've made it, you realize, nah, you haven't arrived.
No way.
You are nobody.
No way.
And the carpet is pulled from under your foot and you must start from scratch again.
Never.
But you are like, you know what? I've done it before. I'll do it again. Third season will be the success story. That's how I'll play it.
I think this interview is finished. Switch off the cameras. Done. Lesson dropped. Welcome, my brother.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for accommodating me last week. You're supposed to be here on Friday.
Yeah.
And I had a bout with this weird flu. And I'm glad you made time to come through as well. And I know the sacrifices you have to make just for you to be here. But we want to celebrate you, man.
No, thank you.
My team watches TV a lot. And they're like, Uncle T, there's this guy. And the same happened with Patuma Kwarela as well. They're like, there's this guy. I'm like, yeah. They're like, yeah, you must meet him. This man has 3 shows trending every day on 3 major channels in this country every night. Same man, same pen, same mind, same pair of eyes. I was like, okay. That story I definitely want to hear. But before that, have you ever seen your colleague's payslip?
Yes, I did. I did. And because the person was meant to be on a junior level than me. So this day I'm working late. So how I saw the payslip, I saw more than a payslip, but we'll stick to the payslip.
Let's stick to the payslip. Yeah.
So I'm working late, and for some reason, when I'm accessing the folders to where I would save the scripts,
yes,
I see a folder written accounts. I'm like, how? I've never seen this folder before.
Yeah.
But you are curious.
Yeah.
It says accounts.
Yes.
I click. It says payslips. I'm like, I click. Now everything is locked. Needs password.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, cool. I can't go in. But now I'm already curious. So as I go to the printer to go pick up things, I pass by this lady's desk. And there's the payslip on the desk in there.
Is she there?
It's opened.
Is she there?
She's not there. She's gone to the loo.
Oh, my word.
Because we were both working late.
Yeah.
But now, it would have been a different story if it was closed.
Yes.
Of course, that's invasion of privacy.
Yeah.
But now, it's open like an A4 page. So as I'm passing, I can see numbers. Then I look, I'm like, I am training a person.
You're training this person?
And the person is actually earning more. I was like, yeah. So now my dilemma was, do I go to the bosses and say,
Exactly.
this is what I saw, but also they're going to be like, but it's not none of your business. I kept quiet. I kept it moving. But that Friday, I invited the same colleague for drinks, and I said, you are paying for drinks.
I mean, how do they escape it? No, they can't escape
right,
that.
Yeah, it was that. I've seen a payslip more than once. But I learned to then realize that it's things, if you can't negotiate for yourself in the meetings where they say negotiate your salary. If you see a payslip, it's your negotiation. What did you negotiate for?
So does that then inspire you to go back and renegotiate?
When the new contract arrives, yeah. Obviously now, with a standing contract, the rules, some of them are so binding that you can't go back and renegotiate. Unless there's a flexibility rule, you can. But when the next contract comes, definitely, you renegotiate. Because that's also when, after I saw that, I went to confirm with a friend. The friend was like, no, how did you negotiate? If the colleague was cleverer than you to negotiate a better salary and they got it, shows the weakness in your negotiation skills.
Yeah. Braver.
I was like, okay.
They put it on the table.
Yeah.
They were brave to ask for what they deserve, right?
Yeah.
Why did you choose Bongeziwe?
So his music I like his music. I like the tone of his music. I think it's also not just the Eastern Cape thing, because we're all from the Eastern Cape.
I was like, well, I see the flag is flying.
But no, his music, I think also, apart from his music, it's also about his journey, I mean, before I got into the industry, I used to watch him. I think it a small role on Generations that he was on. He was playing there, and then to hear that he's a musician. And initially, when someone says I'm launching an album, I'm like, "Hey, is it going to be good?" And then they launched his first album, and I listened to it. I was like, "Bloody hell! Yeah, this guy can sing. This guy has got talent." So his music is good, but also some of his songs, they speak to a journey that I'm going on. I've been on. Like, for example, the song that you just played now, Ndokulandela. It's a love song in its sense, because it speaks about how he's going to leave everything behind and follow this one person and go with them on their journey. Sure. But also for me, how I decided to construct it to myself is Nzawulandela, the dream I'm going on. I would leave everything behind, everything that I thought I know and I thought I existed behind me, and then go forward and fight for this dream. So that's how I did it. But also just on a general, he's one of the artists whose music, every time I'm driving in the car, I would loop it and play it over and over again.
If you're wondering who I'm talking to, this fascinating person is Siphosethu Tshapu. And like I said, this man has over 3 hot shows right now. Umkoka, Redemption, Nigi, where he started on Isidingo. He'll tell us about the movie that is coming up on Netflix in a few weeks. Does he ever stop? Well, we'll get into his brain just now. Mary.
Yeah.
You can't give up now?
So remember when I said that there was a time where If My Life Would Be a Soapy, second season would be where you thought you'd made it and you thought. So this is when I was at Isidingo. One day it happened, I got called into a meeting. So this is time of contract negotiations.
Yes.
I've been with the show for about 3-4 years.
Wow.
And the word
your name is on the credits, bruh.
It's there. I'm writing every week. You see my name in there. And then I get called into a meeting and they're like, we are restructuring and there's no place for you anymore. I'm like, how? What have I done? Like, no.
Yeah.
It's not about you. We're just restructuring, and we feel as if your focus is vast. Because at the time, I'm starting to make a name for myself. So now I get calls to go write elsewhere.
Okay.
So I'm writing there. This thing of also signing contracts without reading the fine print, because you just go to remuneration.
Yeah.
You just see that I'm getting this much.
And the term.
Exactly.
How long?
Exactly. So I didn't read a fine print on the contract where it said that you are not allowed to utilize whatever skill you are providing to the company elsewhere. Oof. I believe I'm a freelancer.
That's right.
So now things are playing on TV. They see your name. They're like, look, we not want to stand in front of your way, but if you are here, we need you here full time. Yeah. But now you are. I argue that no, I'm still doing other stuff, but I'm still focused. Like no, we're restructuring anyway. So at the time, that's when I'm like, hey, what's going to happen now? And then I remember the following morning, funny enough, I was listening to Kaya FM. It was a breakfast show. Yeah. I think at the time it was Khomotso and Ndumiso.
That's right.
Yeah, and then they played that song. I listened to it, and the only song I knew from Mary at the time was Shackles.
That's right.
And then when this played, I listened to it, and I cried.
I was about to ask you, there's
cried
no way,
because
when you are in the cloud and that song plays, the rain won't come down. There's no way.
It did. Because I was considering, I'm like, am I going to have to go back to the Eastern Cape? What's going to happen? I just bought a car. I paid the first 2 installments of the car, and now they're going to take the car away. When I listened to that song, it just said, when those lines said, I can't give up now, I've come too far from where I started from. I was like, this is me. I can't. Fortunately enough for me, that same day after listening to that song in the afternoon, I get a call from Patu. And he's like, when are you leaving Horizon Deep? We are looking for people to join us at Mubango, and I think you can be a gem to the team. He doesn't know what had happened the day before. No idea what had happened the day before. And I'm meant to be serving out my month notice at Animal. I responded immediately. So when do I start? He said, we have a brainstorm tomorrow, but let's talk. I said, we'll talk income when I'm already there. I'll see you tomorrow. I went to Animal. I said, it's okay. I'm out. I don't have to serve my notice. You don't have to pay me. End of February, I'm good. They're like, no, but what you going to do? Because you can't just leave. I'm like, you going to fire me? Oh, it's already happened. But at the time, I think I was on a high of just having received that call that nothing else mattered, nothing else made sense.
Yeah.
So when I drove out, I played that song again. The morning when I was driving to the Mubango offices for my first story meeting, I played that song again. So every time, as much as you think you've made it, but every time you're feeling as if you're going down a little bit, I play that song, and it just reminds me.
Mbizana, you better raise up, stand up, raise your hands, because your flag has been flown high by this gentleman right here. Now, there are 3 shows. I mean, people can Google your name and just check them out. Actually, filmmaker wrote a beautiful piece about you.
Yes, I saw that one.
Yeah, I think 2014.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to this day, we use it as your biog, which kind of basically paints a picture of who you are and where you come from, the sacrifices you have made to be where you are. Now, 3 shows trending every day, 3 different channels. I can hardly write my own story. Forget a tweet, okay? To write a tweet about my thoughts, it's like, and here you are writing. I mean, how do you do that? What inspires it? What really fuels it?
I think one of the things is I believe that I'm a born storyteller. Okay. I remember growing up, I used to do small concerts and small plays in the village. Yeah, we'd get a rondavel and then we'd make people pay 50 cents. And we'd stage plays, and I'd direct them, I'd write them, and also I would watch Generations. Was a big thing at the time.
Yes,
it still is. But it was one of those shows where we sat around as a family, we used to watch. And I'd had this 2-choir exercise book where I would draw out the storyline of what happened in the previous episode with the speech bubbles next to them and all of those things. So I used to do that.
Wow.
So I've always... I love telling stories. Even my grandmother would say, when I'm Dagoyika, because something would happen, but I'd embellish it and get more to it. But in terms of the 3 shows that are currently on air, I think Redemption just ended about a couple of weeks ago.
Sure.
The first season. It's fortunate that they get to play at the same time, but the writing processes where I was in was at different phases.
Okay.
Redemption, we did it very on last year, and then I joined Umkoka. I think I was there for about 130 episodes.
Sure.
Then I had to step away so that and do Nigiwe.
Yeah.
So doing all 3 at the same time would have killed me.
I can imagine.
That would have been a disaster of note, because also then you're going to have people complaining about the quality of work that you
which is what normally comes out, isn't it?
Exactly, because then when you do that, for me, it always seems as if you think an idea is original, forgetting that you're actually thinking it on another show just a little bit while. So then that's where you're going to have mirroring things happening on screen, which I always try to stay away from.
Yeah.
So Redemption was fun. I remember getting the call to be like, we're doing this new telenovela for BET about a church. I was like, I am a fan of Greenleaf.
Yes,
I watched all seasons of Greenleaf. So when I saw the the document that they sent us, like, okay, it's not Greenleaf, but it's church.
Yeah.
It's a corrupt church. You know?
Yeah.
How do you do it? And I'd always wanted to tell a church story on my own, but I guess those guys beat me to doing it. But it was fun, you know. But we had also an amazing team. I had a co-head writer on that, Ukagiso, and we worked very well together. And we had a team of writers. I think when we get into a room, the one rule that we always have is you're here to play. You're telling a world that doesn't exist. You're creating people that don't exist, so you can make them as crazy and as messed up as possible as you want them to be. Because these are not
believable.
Exactly. These are not people you would run into every day. Because I think for me, the training I had in writing, you know, initially started on Isidingo with Ilse van Yemet, who was my head writer at the time, went on to work with Patu and Guido and Mubango and other projects that they did, but also went to learn from Desiree and Angus at BOM. You know, the training ground that you had in there was that TV is fiction. It should always make the viewer sit at home and watch people and be like, yo.
Exactly.
You know, when the people are doing that, because you're escaping from what is going on in your life.
Yes.
So if you're going to see messier people on TV, when we're watching people on TV, we judge them. You are like, this person is doing this. I remember growing up, my mother and I's favorite thing was The Bold and the Beautiful.
Yes.
We used to watch Brooke jump from man to man. And
That's right.
We had Tim Brooke and Tim Taylor. And all of those things.
I was Tim Taylor.
So I think for me, I was Tim Brooke.
Yeah, boy.
So I think for me, the writing purpose is always a thing of, I always ask myself when I'm writing is, what can go wrong? Because one of my mentors always said, if you have a village of happy people in a story, then everyone is happy. Everything is flat out. Even in a sitcom, you've got dynamics, you've got drama, you've got things playing into it. So it's always that thing that even when I create something new, I always think, what could go wrong? Because when it goes wrong, you find your inciting incident. For example, on Redemption, Pastor Simon goes missing. That's something went wrong. Yeah. So now him going missing gives you the story of why did he go on the run? Why is he accused of all of these things? Then you start to playing all of those things. In a relationship, what can go wrong? A love triangle. Someone comes in.
That's right.
And interrupts the people that are happily in love. Now you've got viewers saying, okay, he was happy there, but now we want to see how he's going to be with this one.
That's right, yeah.
It's all of those things. On Umkoka, it was that as well. We came in on the second season, you know. The first season was there as a drama. So now when it came to telenovela, again, it was that thing where we looked at the story, we're like, okay, what is the worst Mama Zobe can do? In each and every week we went in like, okay, she did this last week, but without her making the viewers feel as if she's doing too much and she's becoming boring. But how do you keep her interesting and what can she doing? And we're like, how do you keep escalating those things so that the viewer gets the engagement of that, you know? And then for Nikki, where I won't lie, it was a challenge, you know.
Is it?
We got the concept, we looked at it, we're like, hey guys, can we do this? Because I hadn't done a youth show since Scheme Some Days.
Okay.
You know, Scheme Some Days, that's when I met Siswini and, you know, she trusted us with the storyline for Scheme Some, which we were there for about 6 years, you know, in writing and giving it legs. So having spent about 4 to 5 years away from a youth drama, that was my biggest fear as well, is that...
Yes, would you represent it well?
Would you do it well? Because also, I don't think I qualify as that young person who is the characters of the central characters. The central characters of the show are in their...
You feel like you're fetching now.
Exactly. They're in their early 20s and they are teens, apart from the parents and everybody else. But it's also those things when I looked at the storyline and I read it as like, okay, there's something here that we can make interesting. I called the team, I said, guys, would you be willing to jump on this? Send them the document they read and they're like, hey, let's create magic. We went into a room with a 5-day workshop. We came out, we had a whole show, you know. It always becomes one of those things that it's always exciting. I think for me, it's always approaching that. I love telling a story, you know, and I love the messier the characters, the better.
You've also done movies.
I have. I've done movies. So I had a movie... I've done smaller movies, which are made for TV movies, you know, through my company. But I've also then had one of my biggest films, which is Collision, which is currently streaming on Netflix. It started in June last year. That's when it came out. Collision. And we were blessed that it became to be the second biggest in the world. What? So that's what we got excited about. You know, we've just finished shooting another feature film now. We are crossing fingers that Netflix will become our home for it as well.
Yeah.
You know,
Shot done.
We're now in post-production for it. You know, it's also an action thriller kind of a film that happens in and around Johannesburg, but this time under collisioned multi-characters. You know, we were following those different characters.
Yeah.
But this one, it's one linear narrative. It's following one character, and it's just dramatic and action-packed. There's stunts, there's guns, there's blood, there's all the stuff. And you know, I always do that. So I've got a couple of coming up projects that I'm kind of working on. You know,
are you making money?
I am. I won't lie.
Yeah,
I won't lie.
I
think if I lied, my ancestors would actually take it away. They'd be like, "We are giving you things, and now you are denying us in public, and you're walking away." If my mother were alive, you know, I think she'd be sitting.
No,
there
she's lost. She's gone.
Yeah, I lost her 3 years ago.
Oh no!
3 years ago. You know?
I was about to ask her how, because before I asked you this question, I wanted to ask: is she relating? What does she say about the stories you are now sort of, you know, orchestrating?
But I think before she passed, she passed having seen the journey. You know, she passed having seen the career. She passed knowing what was to come, and I believe that she's still watching wherever she is. You know, she knows where the journey is.
May her soul rest in peace,
and
man.
the thing that makes me proud about that is that we had actually built a home which she had lived in. Wonderful. You know, which when we had home, they call our home Kandla. I don't know.
Good fire pool.
Maybe there's a split. What do you mean? A splinter pool. A fire splinter pool. Not big as a fire pool.
Okay.
Yeah, right. So it's that. So yeah, it's all of those things that when I get into that writing process, I try to channel that.
Yeah.
You know, just to think of these characters, but also I always want to write something that when I'm sitting at home I can watch it.
Yes.
You know, I don't want to watch something there. I'm like, no, it's for certain audience. I can't watch this because I believe I watch everything.
Yeah.
So if I'm writing something that's not going to be able to be watched by other people, then why do if I can't watch it myself?
Exactly.
Then what was the point in that? So yeah, but I think film is also one of the biggest loves. You know, film is it's special. It's special.
It really is.
You know, yeah.
Wow, man. Zuko SA.
So the Zuko SA song, it goes to my mother.
Oh.
Because the first time I heard the song, it was also now where I decided that I'm going to cut down on freelance writing and focus on building my company and seeing where that can go.
Okay.
You know, and I remember at the time I was like, okay, if I do this, it means I'm stopping as another income stream.
Yeah.
Because now focusing on the company, you don't always get fortunate that you commissioned.
Yeah.
You know, so when I listened to that song and the first lines of the song saying Danam, Kawelam, Amangalamandli ndikunika wona. That's it to me, that's my mother talking to me. Because it was that day I just sent out a letter. I said, okay, I'm leaving Umkoka. I wanna go focus on the stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and that song I listened to it just like the Mary Mary song that played. I heard it, and when I heard those lines, and it says, "Antembanga bantu yakubo, but tembi mfundiso zam, nemfefe zikamdala phezu kwakho."
That's right.
I was like, that's my mother talking to me.
Wow.
Wow. That was for me. It's like, okay, that's her talking. That you're gonna go conquer the world, but remember where you come from.
What's next, man?
I think for me, what's next is to keep writing and producing.
Yeah.
That is...
because you're gifted.
That is what I want to do, you know. I thank God, firstly for that gift, but also thank my mother, because when I went to her after matric, she was like, what do you want to do? I was in my matric year. She was like, okay, what's the plan? I mean, we in PE at the time.
Yeah.
That's where we lived. And she's like, there is NMMU.
Yes.
There is Fort Hare.
Yeah.
There is Wusu.
Yes.
I was like, why are we local?
Yeah.
She's like, what do you mean? I'm like, no, I want to go to Joburg. I want to go to Gauteng. I want to go do something in TV. It's like, but who do you know in Joburg, Gauteng? I was like, you told me my grandfather went to Cape Town when he was 18.
That's right.
She's like, yeah. I'm like, who did he know? She's like, no one. I'm like, exactly. I know no one. But I'm going to know people when I get there, you know. But fortunately, then my brother at the time got a job at University of Pretoria. So when I applied to TUT, I stayed with him, you know.
Yes.
And then it started there. So for me, it's that, you know, that the fact that I wasn't deprived of the dream that I had.
Sure.
I was actually supported and given all the tools to be where I am. Firstly, what's next for me is to plow that back.
Okay.
You know, there's a lot of young writers who come to me and say, dude, we want to get into the space. We want to write, but we don't know where to start, where to go. Yeah. So because of also the workload becomes so busy, sometimes you don't have time to go back into it. But when time permits, I reach out to a writer or two and say, hey, we're looking to add 2 people to our team.
Sure.
Here's a text script. Can you write it? They write it or read it, give commentary and say, okay, cool, come join in, you know. There's one young writer who I first met 2014. She was a young writer. Now she's one of the most top and senior writers that I work with. Wow. Because it's one of those. But what's next for me is to continue producing amazing work that hoping the South African, but also beyond South African audiences are going to love and enjoy, you know, and also to find time and space to mentor other young writers who've got the passion, you know, because we're not all fortunate enough to have the funds to go to film school or to access to writing school and to be able to do that. Even back home, there are people that you know have got the skill, but unlike me, they can't leave Mbizana, they can't leave nearing townships and provinces and villages to come to Joburg because that's where the industry is. That's right. But how do we then take the industry back and make them that? We're fortunate enough that now the industry is going across the country. The shows being made in PE, being made in Durban. You know, a current show that we're working on is shooting both Joburg and Eastern Cape. Oh, lovely. You know, it's that where we like now in the leg of the Eastern Cape, who can we find there and give an opportunity to, and then how do we help them exercise that opportunity to go to the next level? So that's what's next for me, to just continue making film and TV and just, you don't know, who knows? Maybe one day I'll make TV and I'll have Viola reading my script and Tuso.
From your mouth
to God, yes, to the universe.
Let's close the show. Marketplace, Huma Sekela.
So it actually goes to the point I just made now about Tuso and Viola. So there's a movie script that I was driving to the Val. Yeah. And I was listening to Marketplace. And then he speaks about this girl, floral dress, million cornrows in her hair, floating in a flower garden. Yes. I'm like, this is a movie.
That's right.
So I wrote a movie called Marketplace.
Never.
I promise you. I wrote a movie called Marketplace. Wow. And I sent it to a friend of mine who's an actor. We had him on Collision. Last night he calls me. He's like, dude, I read the script. When are we shooting? Wow. I was like, no, but we need you and Tuso on the script.
That's right.
Because then that will make it. Because it's a love story set in the 80s in Kimberley. You know, but about this woman who finds love in a marketplace.
From the jazz pioneer himself.
I was listening to that song. I was like, when this movie is made, this is the song that should be the trailer.
That's right.
For this movie.
That's right.
This is the song that must be when he's meeting this girl. He must be walking to the market, and it's that I wanted to have those million cornrows in her hair and the flowing floral dress. So that's what made me fall in love with the song. And that day, I listened to that song about 10 times. I drove to the Val, listened to the song. I came back listening to that song, and I was like, no, I have to. I got home. I was like, what can the storyline be? And I was like, okay, cool. It speaks about.
Okay, I want to see this movie. Oh man, you are going to make me a TV addict now. Damn.
So yeah, that's Marketplace. That's what made me love it.
My brother, this is the first of many.
I believe so. I receive.
Love. Just the energy. You're a storyteller. Oh my goodness, I can't wait to see what more you're gonna do. I'm smiling already. You know, God bless you, man.
Thank you.
Keep shining that.
Thank you.